Hi, I wanted to make a video about, well, a bit more of a deep dive into the three Kleshas actually, and how they can really impact connection between you and other people, and then how they kind of all work together. So just to remind you, the Kleshas are pushing, well, controlling and grasping, or pushing, I suppose, pulling away, running away, that kind of hiding. You're still feeling the feelings, but you've kind of run away from, dealing with the situation. And then the last one is desensitizing, kind of freezing. You can use willpower to kind of go, I'm not going to feel those feelings. Or it could be something that you learnt a long, long time ago that happens really automatically that you don't control. But they're kind of the three main responses when we're triggered by something. It could be scared of something, it could be, I don't know, angered by something or upset something, or it's really something that's happened that reminds your system of a kind of deep trauma or something difficult that was really hard to deal with, and it's poked a really old sensitive wound. So what happens? If your tendency is to freeze, that can send all kinds of signals to another person. It doesn't matter whether it's personal relationships, work or family or friends. Our nervous systems are actually talking to each other on quite a subconscious level. So I might be talking to you and saying words, but if my kind of energetically I'm not aligned with what's coming out of my mouth, that can perhaps feel really might feel quite odd to the other person, or it could feel like I'm not there, I'm not present, I'm not absent. In a personal relationship, it could feel like rejection, or I've left, even though I'm there physically, but not really able to connect emotionally, energetically, because I'm not in that in connection with myself. Actually, if I'm not in connection with myself, and I'm in fight and flight or freeze, and I've frozen, I might be trying to say things, but it feels like I've left the room, left the building. And actually I had an example of that in a personal relationship, and my partner, his tendency is to pull away. So me freezing over a conversation we'd had that set one of my wounds off, one of my triggers off. I was probably sending all kinds of signals to his nervous system, to his wounds, that was kind of like, I'm not here, I'm absent, I've run away, I've left. And actually I was just shutting down because, it reminded me of something really traumatic and really scary from my past. So then he pulls away, and, we get into this, my wounds triggering his wounds, triggering mine, and that kind of cycle. If your tendency is to pull away when something triggers you, that could cause somebody to, so like me, it could cause me to freeze because I'm like, oh my God, you've left, you've pulled away, you're hiding. For someone whose tendency is to control and grasp, which is kind of one of my other tendencies, actually, a bit lesser so, I'm a bit more conscious of that one, the freezing things happens quite automatically, then that can cause someone to, be controlling, be grasping, try and control the situation. But of course, if you try and control a situation or try and push or grasp, then someone whose tendency is to pull away and run away, of course they're going to do that, because nobody wants to feel controlled, nobody wants to feel grasped at. So I think it's really interesting to notice what our tendency is and in what situations, and to really learn to be aware of that. Become aware, try and be aware of what the other person might be doing, and it could be a work situation, could be a personal relationship, or friendship, family. I have the same thing in my family, where different people respond in different ways, and I react differently to different people. And then just try and do something to stay in connection with them. And there's not many things you can do really, except to name what's going on for you at the time. It's really important to try and stay in connection, because, you know, if you don't, then that's going to trigger the other person, and, you know, you just get into this kind of cycle. But if you can describe it, you know, I've got a knot in my stomach and I'm not actually feeling very present. You know, can you just stay with me a minute while I try and work through this? Or if it's, I feel like running away, you know, I really feel like everything in my system is telling me to run away, but I want to stay. That's a start, you know. And if you are controlling, grasping, then you can be saying, you know, God, my system's gone into panic. I feel like I need to do something, but I know that that's probably not the right thing to do. You know, I need 20 minutes to go and meditate, or can you just stay with me while I just feel into this and let it all kind of, you know, kind of process. But I think rather than leaving for 20 minutes or a few days or whatever, it's kind of better to somehow stay in contact. Even if you can't stay in connection, stay in contact and try and describe what's going on, because that really builds trust and it builds connection, and it means that you can kind of stay together while you're coming out of that, you know, dark place or trigger or whatever it is. But yeah, connection's so important for us as humans, whatever kind of relationship. And if you're at work, you know, it could be that if you're triggered and you feels you're not connected or you're not present, then it's going to be harder for people to really listen and hear what you say. If you're in a relationship, of course, you've got to try and stay connected, because that's kind of the whole point. And sharing your vulnerabilities and what's going on for you, not fixing each other, but being able to be there for each other while you do your own work, you know, because you don't want to go into any kind of codependence. And it's the same in family relationships and friendships, you know. You really want to be able to, let them know what's going on for you, and see if you can get your nervous systems talking to each other in a more flowing and connected way. But give it a try. It might seem a bit weird at first, going, oh, I've got this knot in my stomach, but why not give it a try? Or it could just be, oh, I'm feeling a bit of anxiety, or oh, you know, I'm feeling really triggered. You know, everybody gets triggered, whether we recognize it or not. But why not be the first to start talking about your feelings and naming what happens? Because actually naming stuff can actually help you come out of those triggers as well. So give it a try. Let me know how you get on.